Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Owens, CEO of Owens Legacy Properties, back inside the Gus Thornhill property. So I know what y'all been thinking. Where has this guy been? Man, dude, I thought you fell off the map. Thought you guys quit doing the rehab. No, none of that has been happening. So before I do the walkthrough, give you guys the next update, I gotta tell you what's been happening literally for the last month and a half since I gave you guys an update. So we have just got the permit approved as of, let's see, a week and a half ago on this property. The city of East Point is by far one of the most challenging jurisdictions in the city of Atlanta to work with real estate investors. So if you are a current real estate investor, be forewarned before doing a rehab in East Point that you will have to jump through a lot of hoops to get your permits approved. All right, so they made us submit 4 revisions of the plans. They wanted to know where every single location of the electrical boxes and the outlets would be. They wanted to know all about the electrical calculations and the load. All of that had to be shown on the plans. And every time we had to submit a revision, that added a whole nother week to the process, right? I can't tell you how many authorized agents my contractor has sent down there to try to get them to tell us exactly what they need. I myself, I've called the city inspector, I've called pretty much everybody in the city of East Point that I could talk to and ask them, hey, what is going on? What do you guys need from us? But all that said, we finally got every part of the permits approved, the plans approved, and now we can actually begin work on this project and really start showing some speed on what needs to be done so you guys can see those updates, right? So that is what's been happening. I'm so happy finally. I'm 2 months off my plan. And if you look at some of the other videos, I told you guys that time is money in the rehab business. And so imagine 2 months additional holding costs that I've incurred because of this whole delay with getting the permits approved. So that's part of the game though. That's how it goes. Sometimes you have to plan for those contingencies. So I do add a little buffer in my holding costs up to 6 months, just in case something like this happens. Of course, you don't want that to happen, right? Because that's more profit for you if that doesn't happen. But in this case, it happened. So 2 months off plan. My contractor and I, we were able to work something out where he's going to give me a little bit of a credit back because of the delay. But yeah, we're over that hurdle. Now we're on to completing the rough ends on this project. So I'll walk you guys through so you can see some of the work has been done, a little bit more than demo this time, right? So I'll talk you through each one of those. All right, so let's take a walk through. All right, so here is the first look at one of the largest ticket items when you're doing a full rehab to the scope of the one that we're currently doing. All right, so upstairs in the attic, that is the HVAC ventilation system. So you can see all of that is brand new material that's been installed. You can see the ducts and how they run, right? So you really get a chance to see the inside guts of the home and how things are set up before it's made all pretty with the drywall and the paint and all the other exterior finishes there, right? So what we're looking at in the center right there, that's what you call the return, right? So pretty much all of your larger rooms are going to have a return like that, and you're going to have a vent. All right, so one pushes out, one pulls in the air, and it goes up to your furnace there, and that's how your filters get dirty, right, going through that return. So that's why you have to change those out every so often. Mostly every 3 months, I think, is what most people recommend, right? But you can see how the ducts are running up there into each room. All right, so we'll go back here. All right, I'll show you the rest of those ducts here. But so just got off the phone actually with my contractor, and the electrician is on his way back out. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk with him here. But you can start to see how we've identified the location of the outlets. So that's what that blue box is right there. All right, along each wall. I'm not sure exactly how far apart you're supposed to have an outlet or a light switch, but you can begin to see how they're along the walls in each room. All right. Now, the completion of a full electrical roughing should have wires going through each of those blue boxes, including through the studs. And that's what he's on his way back to do. All right, so this is the new code of wiring. So we're beginning to put that in. Now, I'm glad I came over today because I have now identified a mistake that the plumber is starting to do. So I've already told my contractor, but that is, most people can identify that, right? That's the box that goes to your washer and dryer. It's only one problem. This is not the washroom. This is my walk-in closet, right? I don't want a washroom in my walk-in closet. Now, I'm glad he hasn't begun to connect the pipes and all of that to it. So it's just a matter of taking that out of those studs, right? And nailing it in the correct location, which is on the other side of this wall, is where it should be, right? And that's all in the plans. So things like that happen during the rehab process. That's why it's very important to be on top of your contractors, be on top of any subcontractors so they can do the rehab exactly how it was planned to do. All right, so this is the washroom. So that is where it should be. So he will have to move that before he does any more additional work. All right, so taking a look up here, backside here, you can see the additional duct work from the HVAC unit. All right, so coming along this back here, you see all of that upstairs there. All right, and the bathrooms, that's where the vent's coming down at here. All right, so you know how that bathrooms make that nice fan noise when you handling your business in there and handling your business. The number two, you need to use that fan. All right, so coming along, walking through this wall again. Again, you can see more blue boxes. All right, most of them have about, looks like 2 to each wall. So I think that's pretty standard. All right, you can see it. There's another one there. There's another one coming along. So again, he's on his way. So he has to not only put the wires through those, but he also has to run the wiring to the lighting fixtures up in the ceiling. All right, so this is what they've done so far. Now that we have our permit approved, now once we complete the wiring, then that is when the city inspector will come out. He will make sure that they've used the right type of wiring. All right, so remember I was telling you that those boxes have to be so many on each wall, so many feet apart. He will check to make sure that we have the right amount of boxes in each room. All right, so that'll be something that he'll look for. He'll make sure that the light switches are in the correct location. And again, all of that had to match the plan that we submitted to him there. And once he does that, all right, everything is in the correct location, then he'll give us the approval to start the temporary power. All right, so none of the power to the house can be turned on until all the wires are in the correct location, the boxes in the correct, everything is basically done correct. Then they'll give us an approval to have temporary power. And we need that. We need temporary power to continue the rest of the rehab, all right? Because they'll be in here, they'll be cutting up things. They'll need light to work at certain times of the day. Yes, you need power to continue doing your rehab on the inside there, to utilize your tools and to do all the things that contractors do to make the house look pretty. All right. Now we'll walk outside to show you the air conditioning unit installed, but guess what? It is not installed yet. All right. One of the things that we do, that I would advise every investor to do, especially when you're doing in, I'll say, up and coming neighborhoods, is that you wait to the very end to install your HVAC unit. Right, that's the last thing we put in. We'll put a cage on top of it because everybody doesn't believe in living as a nice neighbor, right? You have some people that may break in and try to steal that stuff and take it down to the local pawn shop or any of those metal places and get a couple $100s for it. Costs us $1,000 to put in there, but they steal it and turn it in and get a couple $100s, right? So we wait to the very last end of that rehab process to put those in. All right, so my window looks like it's cracked a little bit more over there. What happened over here? I know this window was cracked last time, but all right, yeah, that's a little bit more cracked there than it was once before. Doesn't look like anything malicious. It looks like maybe an accident by somebody that was in here working, but in any event, we'll have to get that replaced. All right. So that's the most part. You can see a lot of the trash on the floor in here of some of the materials that they've used, especially in that back corner over there. That's a lot of the excess material from the HVAC installation in that corner. All right, so all of that will have to be carried away. Now, most of the time we have like a dumpster, and when you see a dumpster out in front of a house, that's when you know there's some rehab going on there, and that's usually what they use those dumpsters for. Those dumpsters are charged by the day and by the weight, all right? So you have to estimate how much material that you're going to put in those dumpsters, and if you go over a certain tonnage, then they start charging you additional weight that they have to dispose of those things there. So all of that's part of your cost when you're trying to estimate how many dumpsters you're going to need. Typically, I would say anywhere from 2 to 3 30-yard dumpsters for a rehab, full rehab of this scope. This is a 1,400 square foot home. So you're talking about demoing out all of the old material, depending on how bad the studs are. Certainly all the drywall, all of the old plumbing, all of the old electrical things that you may be taking out, all that's going to go inside that dumpster. All right, so I usually plan for about 2 to 3 of those, depending on the scope. And then if you have a good contractor with a truck and a trailer, sometimes you can haul some of that stuff off as well. But big projects usually require a big dumpster. As we go over to the other property here in a few minutes, I'll show you that, because we do have a dumpster at that location there. But be over there probably about 15 minutes checking out the work on that one. All right, so I'm gonna turn this around here. All right, so that's the update. Here we are, like I mentioned, 2 months off schedule, but now we're starting to get some traction with some of the rough ends. Once we get the inspections done on that, then we'll start putting up some drywall, some flooring. So it'll really start to come to life and look a little bit more eye-pleasing on the inside. All right, but thank you all for following along with me. If you got any questions, any suggestions, like I mentioned last time, feel free to drop it down in the comment section. By the way, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you like this video. If you want to see more of it. All right, until next time, guys.